My name is Julie. I have family who invested their life savings in the IFFL. Maybe you do too. I investigated the IFFL because I felt uncomfortable with my family's decision. What I found out scared me a great deal, and it will scare you too. Wouldn't it be nice? Everyone dreams of being financially independent. Think of all the great things you could do for yourself and your family, and even for other people if you are financially sound. The IFFL offers you the chance to be exactly that. All you have to do is get your hands on, say, $50,000 or $100,000, invest it with the IFFL, and earn returns of around 40% per year. Just compound that for 5 or 10 years, and you'll have no worries about your financial future. And the best part, there's no risk whatsoever. You might even be able to avoid paying income taxes, at least for a while. Sound too good to be true? That's because it is too good to be true. It's all lies and fraud, as I will show you. But it's incredibly appealing to a lot of people. So much so, it overcomes people's natural fears. They become blinded to reason and jump in. People want to believe there's an easier way. If you've invested in the IFFL or have a loved one who's invested or is considering investing, I ask you to put aside the wonderfully exciting delusion for just a moment and look at the evidence alone. Is this legitimate or is it fraud? You decide. IFFL is the sales and fundraising machine that exists to channel money into Morendan Mining, which has a gold mine and refinery in Honduras. They claim the operation is so fabulously profitable they can easily afford to pay investors 40% or more per year. I ask 2 questions. Number 1, why would they pay that much? And number 2, are they really that profitable? So with that in mind, I ask you, why would a rock-solid business need to pay its financiers 40% or more? Now, the reality is that most investors never actually receive the money. What they receive each month is not cash, but rather just a statement. But let's put that aside for a moment. To be profitable, every business attempts to maximize its sales revenue and minimize its expenses. One of the biggest expenses for a company like Morendan is its cost of capital. The IFFL says they'll pay investors 40% per year, and of course those structurist dudes don't work for free. They earn several $100,000 each year, and Morendan has to pay them too. Surely the company could borrow money for a whole lot less than that from more traditional means. If you can show that a business is incredibly profitable or expects to be, there are plenty of places a business can find capital to grow, even if it's relatively new business. Don't let them fool you. Sometimes it's the banks, but if that doesn't work, you can also go directly to other sources such as pension funds, investment institutions, or mega wealthy investors and raise millions of dollars relatively quickly. Even most venture capitalists, who are sometimes accused of being greedy, would mostly be pretty pleased with earning over 40% per year consistently. So ask yourselves, what is the reason they don't take this easier way and instead go around the country hitting up moms and dads one small investor at a time? The IFFL claims to teach you the secrets of investing like the smart, rich people do. But the fact is, none of the smart, rich people would touch Morendan, and you shouldn't either, for the same reasons. They would ask a lot of questions, or as they call it, they would perform due diligence before investing. In the financial industry, like in most businesses, integrity is everything. Business people know there are more than enough investing risks to go around, so they do business only with honest people. A criminal or troubled past is an automatic deal stopper. Any financier Morendan approached would immediately do a background check on Milo Brost and Gary Sorensen. They would immediately find that Brost has been charged and convicted of investor fraud in Alberta, and criminal charges are expected soon. They would discover other questionable things, like the fundraising Brost did for Morendan in Colorado, where he issued false and misleading statements contained in offering documents. These documents were reviewed by David Abbott, none other than the chairman of the Ethics Committee of the American Institute of Professional Geologists. He concluded they were typical of many frauds he's encountered in his career. And the fundraising would be over before it began. No one would ever consider funding a venture with people like Brost involved. That is how seriously the smart, rich people consider these offenses. So why should you trust Brost if smart, rich business people wouldn't either? But let's suppose the smart, rich people forgot to do that background check and just looked at the deal itself. Sure, the returns look good, but talk is cheap. They would ask to see the financial statements for proof that Morendan was actually as profitable as they claim. And who knows what that would reveal. But before anyone would loan a sizable amount of money to any company, they would also demand the financial statements were audited, verified, and proven by a reputable independent group of public accountants. This is standard business practice. But how much more important is it when you have someone like Brost involved with his history of securities fraud? Miranda does not have audited financial statements, so once again, it's a showstopper. Smart, rich business people would not invest. Since this is a gold mine, they would also demand to see independent evidence of the proven and provable reserves of gold. Again, there is no such evidence. And again, certainly no independent verification of it. 2 words to the wise. Remember, REX. It's easy to make claims of big gold reserves, especially for the unscrupulous. It's quite another thing to prove it. So that's why Brost has done an end run around the big financial institutions and has gone straight to the moms and pops. They don't know what questions to ask, and he can pull the wool right over their eyes. They are in far beyond their depth, and Brost has proven he is a shark. Investors are trusting their life savings to a man who has shown himself to be untrustworthy, and a business that is questionable and not supported by any reasonable evidence. Is it any wonder the structures tell you not to discuss this investment with your financial advisors? Don't be blinded by the claimed returns. When you investigate with an open mind, I am confident you will not want your money in such a questionable venture. Conspiracy. Let's talk about conspiracy for a moment. The Securities Commissions have found members of the IFFL guilty of many offenses, and recently the police are investigating for criminal fraud. But many IFFL investors are suspicious of what they see as overzealous and corrupt regulators. They dismiss the evidence because they view the Securities Commissions and even the police as paid lackeys of the elite banks and brokers. It's a conspiracy of the establishment against the IFFL. The IFFL feed and exploit this mindset. But where does the conspiracy really lie? Either the investigators are right that there is fraud and deception, or the IFFL is completely legit. Both cannot be right. Let's look at motive. What do the police have to gain from framing Brost if he is innocent? What do securities regulators have to gain? Who is paying them, and where is the money coming from? They're all salaried employees with nothing to gain. On the other hand, the IFFL earns a lot of money on each investment. Many structurists earn several $100,000 a year pushing their shonky investments. Who do you think has the most to gain from deceiving you, the authorities or the IFFL? Go visit the website, www.webmechanic.com, as mentioned earlier in this broadcast. You will see evidence from many separate independent sources, all denouncing the IFFL as fraud. It would take not one, but many well-organized and unbelievably massive conspiracies for so many independent sources to arrive at the same conclusion. And all of them are very well qualified and honest people with nothing to gain. On the other side stands Milo Brost and his structurists, all of whom stand to make a lot of money. Who has the most reason to mislead you? There are 2 sides to every story, but this is not a case where the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Both sides cannot be right. This is a case of either or. Either the Marindan Mines operation in Honduras is one of the most profitable and lucrative gold mines in the world, or it is a fraud and will never be able to pay investors the money they are owed. Either Milo Brost and his legion of structurists have found a means for small investors to become independently wealthy without any risk, something every investor in the world is searching for, or they are ruthlessly exploiting naive investors for their own gain. Either Brost's claims are false, or the RCMP officers who are sworn to protect us are conspiring against us all. Either Brost's claims are false, or the Canadian Securities Commissions in Alberta, British Columbia, and Manitoba, who are sworn to protect us, are conspiring against the public interest. Either Brost's claims are false, or the Fraud Discovery Institute is conspiring against the public interest. Either Brost's claims are false, or the respected consulting engineer David Abbott is conspiring against the public interest. Either Brost defrauded Strategic Metals investors of $36.5 million, or he did not. Either Brost made false and misleading claims in prior offerings, or he did not. Either the IFFL is an investment club designed to offer general investment advice to their members as they claim, or it is an illegal and unregistered sales organization promoting investments in a few related businesses that make Brost and Sorensen rich. Who do you believe? You decide, taking into account the motives of each side. In summary, I've said enough. Let me tell you my motivation for doing this video. A senior member of my family invested in the IFFL. When I investigated, I found clear evidence of an ongoing fraud. A fraud against vulnerable seniors and ordinary citizens. It made my blood boil to discover there are people out there who are unscrupulous enough to steal the life savings of these hard-working people. My goal is to educate people so they can get out while they can, and so others will not join them. If you have already invested, try to get your money back as soon as possible. The door will soon shut and you will lose everything. Be warned. Knowledge is power. I have nothing to gain, but you have everything to lose.